Horror. Do you want to know what true horror is? I've experienced it. I'll tell you. Most nights, I go to the gym after work. Then I come home, I take a shower, and then I get dressed again so that I can make these videos. Yes, most of the 13 days of horror videos you've watched have featured freshly showered Andrew. But not tonight, no. One day each week, I go to the gym in the middle of the day. I go to work early, I take off from work, work out for a while, shower there, change my clothes, go back to work. So, I just got home from work, fired up the camera, I'm about to watch a movie. So, where does the horror come in? Well, as you might imagine, after working out for an hour or so, I become a disgusting, sweaty mess, which is why I take a shower after I work out. But I can't just change back into the clothes I worked out in. I have to put on fresh clothing. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much you shower, because if you scrub-a-dub-dub and then put on the underwear that you just worked out in, no amount of that scrub-a-dub-dub is going to make a damned bit of difference. No, you need fresh undies and socks and shirts and such. But what happens to the workout clothes? I mean, I don't run it home and throw it in the wash. I go back to work. What happens to the clothes? They get wadded up and they get stuffed in my gym bag, but I'm not quite that bad. I take all of my sweaty, disgusting clothing and I lay it out as neatly as I can in the trunk of my car so that it can air out in the non-ventilated trunk of my car. What is true horror? True horror, my friends, is the smell that emanates from my trunk when I open it up, when I get home at the end of the night, after my sweaty, disgusting gym clothes have been fermenting in the non-ventilated confines of my trunk for 7 or 8 hours. That's horror. That's horror. Tonight's movie is The Innkeepers. It's about at least 2 people who keep an inn. Fairly recent film, 2011. I remember reviews saying it was good. And I could use a good horror movie. Although it's probably not, I think it's a haunted house type of movie, so it's probably going to be more creepy and atmospheric than anything else. So, but I like those kind of movies too. So, The Innkeepers. Start. So, what did I think of The Innkeepers? Meh. It's okay. I'm kind of torn because the movie really has a lot going for it. It's the characters are pretty likable. It's shot very well. Visually, it's really really cool. Sound design is awesome too. Props there. The humor mostly all lands. Um it sets up a very nice, creepy atmosphere. It's it does everything a slow burn haunted house, or in this case, inn, is supposed to do. It gives you characters that you like in a house where weird things are happening, or oh, that's it's nothing, but something is, oh my gosh, that is definitely something that ramps up from there. That's what these movies are supposed to do, and this does that. In addition to and it's successful at that, in addition to really being a quite gorgeous film, and also great sound design. So visually and audioly, yes, audioly, works gangbusters. um, the problem is I think one of the things that makes a haunted house movie work, unless it's something that has a twist like the House on Haunted Hill, where it was all faked. I think what makes haunting movies work is eventually you figure out what's going on, what the ghosts are, who they were, what they want. This movie does that kind of, but there's a lot of other things that don't quite work. Either that, or I fell asleep, or I wasn't paying attention, or something. Um, this house, I'm sorry, this hotel, this inn, is haunted by Molly Smith. Some woman who, she and her fiance stayed at the hotel back in the 1930s or whatever. And he said, I'm going out for a pack of cigarettes. Be right back. And buggered off and ditched her on their wedding day. And so distraught was she that she hung herself. And ever since, her ghost has haunted the halls of the hotel. Okay, cool. So, what does she want? Nothing really. She's just kind of haunting there. There's a little bit more to it. So the hotel management found the body and then hid her in the basement for 3 days and then snuck her out the loading dock when it was kind of something like that. So her spirit is restless and wandering around the hotel. Yay. Um, there's a psychic medium woman who's staying at the hotel, and she does a reading, and she's, oh gosh, there's 3 of them, and oh, there's something dangerous here. We never see 3 other ghosts. We do see Molly. She shows up 3 times. And her design is appropriately creepy and cool. I don't know who the 3 others they're talking about are. So, an old guy comes to the hotel and says, I must stay in room 353. He's old. So he does, and he kills himself. I would assume this is the husband who came back because he finally found an adequate box of cigarettes. There's a really great scene. One thing I like about I love movie trailers that actually are so confident in the film that they just take a 2.5 minute scene from the film and show it to you. The Conjuring had a trailer like that, where the woman's wandering around the house. playing hide and go seek with claps, and there's a ghost that claps at her out of the darkness. It's a little bit edited from what's in the final film, but I love movies that have the confidence to say, hey, you know what? Here's a scene from the movie. Yeah, you're going to want to see it now. There's a scene in this movie that I think could have done the same thing, and it's when the two innkeepers are sitting in the basement with their EVP recording microphone thing, and are, I'm calling out to the ghost of Molly Husawatsi, give us a sign. And then they start hearing things. And they start freaking out, and beads of sweat are running down, and their throats are getting dry, and they're starting to cry because things are spooky. And she goes, oh my gosh, she's behind you. It's a really great scene. It's a wonder. The sound design's great. The acting is great. It is great. Great. That could have worked as a trailer, I think, that scene alone. So, the guy actually freaks out and runs out of the hotel. She grabs the medium woman and says, there's a spooky stuff, pardon my language, in the basement, come help. And medium comes down with her divining rod, the crystal hanging on a chain, and the crystal drops off the chain and shatters on the floor. And she says, we have to get out of here. It's dangerous. All right. So they go pack, and the girl runs. Oh yeah, the old guy in the third floor. We got to go get him. And she runs in, and she sees that he's sitting in a bathtub of blood, had slashed his wrists. And she's, dead person. And she runs out of the room. And then she's like, did I forget my keys? And she turns back, and there's Molly hanging there from the ceiling. And, and she runs downstairs, and she can't find, the guy comes back, and she's like, we have to get out of here. And he's like, okay, you sit alone in the lobby. I'm going to go upstairs and get the medium lady who's packing her bags. And so the girl goes into the basement because she hears a noise, and she turns around, and there's the dead guy who slashed his wrist standing behind her. And she goes, and she falls down the stairs and dies. No, I'm just kidding. She does fall down the stairs. She smacks at her head, and she runs through the basement, and the dead guy is behind her, stalking her, and I'm spoiling the movie, by the way, spoilers. And she runs, and she tries to get to out the door on the far end, but she'd locked it earlier in the day, and she's, no, I can't open the door, no, somebody help me. And there's Molly standing there, looking kind of cool, but just really standing there, and and the camera pans in and fade to black. Epilogue. She's dead. And the guy goes up and finds the medium lady standing in the room that the girl who died was staying in. He goes, what are you doing in here? And she doesn't answer. He says, you knew this would happen, psychic woman. You could have done something. And she says, no. There's nothing any of us could have done. And he kind of shrugs and wanders off, and she leaves too. And then the camera goes back to the room where the girl who died was staying, and the door slams shut all by itself. Credits roll. That's unsatisfying to me, because maybe I'm just not putting it together correctly in my head. Maybe everything I need to know is in this movie, and I'm just a dipstick. That's completely possible. Ask my sister, she'll tell you. She'll probably use more colorful language than dipstick, though. So, did Molly kill her? Why? How? Did the dead guy kill her? Why? How? Who are the other three spirits or presences that were haunting the place? Were they important? How did a bird get in the cellar? There's a jump scare with a pigeon that flies out of the cellar earlier, and she's like, how did you get in there? I'm like, yeah, seriously, how did he get in there, silly pigeon? What was there really a point to the mom and child that was staying at the hotel in the movie and then just kind of leaves halfway through? Uh, well, no, I don't think they symbolize anything. They're just kind of there, which is fine, but you think there's going to be some payoff of some sort, but there isn't. Another thing where I think the movie drops the ball is it feels like there are a couple scenes missing. There's one in particular where the girl is Claire, I think her name is. She's sleeping in bed, and then suddenly she sits up and she's like, "Holy crap, there's a ghost sitting next to me! Ah!" And she stands up from bed and the lights are suddenly on. I'm like, did we forget? Did second unit forget to shoot the insert of her turning on the lamp or flipping the light switch or something? Because suddenly it's light in the room. Not a big deal. But there's a couple other places where not character motivations, but some of the things the characters say are like, did I miss something? Like a character will be snotty to another, as I'm like, where did that come from? For example, the medium woman, the girl goes and bangs on the guy's door. "Oh, there's a spooky ghost playing the piano," and the guy's like, "I'm sleeping, go away." And she says, "Okay." Wanders back down the hall, and the medium woman's standing out in the hall because it's 2 in the morning or whatever. And she says, "Hey, do I have to remind you? It's sleepy time. Be quiet." And the girl's standing there, and she's like, "I feel so stupid because I was, banging on his door at 2 in the morning." And she goes, "Do I have to tell you again?" She seems pretty sorry. I mean, she's like beating herself in the head here. I don't think. What? Where'd that come from? And then the girl said, like, "You know what? Get off my back!" I'm like, where the hell did that come from now? I mean, it's almost like the writer totally mixed up the woman with the kid, because there was an antagonistic relationship between her and the staff. But, I don't know. So, in conclusion, there's really a lot to like about this movie. There really, truly is. I'm not sorry I watched it. I don't feel I waste my time. There's really a lot I admired about it. But at the end of the day, it didn't really work for me as a ghost story because there was too much that was unsatisfying, unexplained, unresolved. Lots of uns. Too many uns.